All right. Hello, hello, hello. We are here for our weekly live, and this live is going to be the foundations for all the other lives and everything that I'm talking about. I'm going to be giving you the absolute 101 self love foundations. And I'm going to be explaining to you what this path actually is to make this very clear so that we know what our foundations are. And I'm going to be giving you the one self love practice to return to when you don't know what to do, when you are struggling in your life, when you don't know what the answer is, when you're it's literally the one thing that whenever you're like, I don't know what to do, I'm struggling, I'm lost, I'm confused, what's the answer? What's the self loving thing to do? What's the spiritual thing to do? What's the self improvement thing to do? What's the evolution path? You're gonna come back to just this one thing. So you can stop DMing me. What do I do about this? What do I do about this? What do I do about this? You do this. You do this one thing over and over. And it will lead to you knowing all the other things. Because I know that this one tool is not going to feel like the thing you want to do. It's not going to feel like the answer. It's not going to feel like it's going to feel kind of like, ugh, why would I do this? Why is this the answer? How is this going to help? But when you start to get an experience of this tool that I'm going to talk about, you're going to start to see how it is the seed for all the other things that you're looking for in your life, all the other answers. It's where everything else is going to come from. Okay, so again, this is the foundation that will take you from confusion and being lost and not knowing what to do and feeling completely out of your depths and feeling like life is hopeless and you've tried all the things and you've done everything you could possibly do and you're still totally stuck. This is going to be the thing that triggers you out. Okay? And like I say, all the other tools and figuring out what other tools to use and when to use them and all these things will come from this. So we'll get there in a sec. And then I want to talk about how this self-love life leads to it leads you out of the matrix of intellectual information where we're intellectualizing our lives and we're constantly being bombarded with conflicting information and this person says this and this person says that and what's actually right and what's actually wrong and what's actually good and what's actually bad and what's evolution and what isn't and what's a death path and am I learning or am I evolving? I don't know. It's going to take you out of the confusion of that because this is really my personal experience that I grew up just like everybody else looking for the rule book, looking for the answer, looking for the like just feeling like there was something missing and I didn't know what it was. Like and I was also feeling that like looking for the mentor, looking for the guru, looking for the right teaching, looking for the right teacher, looking for the answer that was going to fix my life and make all my pain go away and that kind of just like chronic desperation, that chronic hopelessness, that chronic but there's something missing and I'm missing something and I don't know what it is and we all say we're looking for God, we're looking for the relationship, we're looking for the body. Like there's always this thing that we think we need. And this is what the self-love path has done for me. It took me out of that. It took me out of that chronic, constantly wondering if I was doing it right, constantly feeling like I'm fucking it up and I don't know why or like I'm going to find out one day that I'm messing it up and that I missed it and that there was all these other things that I was supposed to be doing and I just like completely didn't get it. This is the self-love path that took me out of that. Okay, so that's what this video is about. So the foundations for self-love and the one tool that is the tool for every situation where you don't know what to do, when you're wondering what the tool is, when you're whatever, is this. Okay, self-love. Self-love is not bubble baths and pampering yourself And it is not an external, this is what it looks like thing. There is no way to tell on the outside if someone is loving themselves or not. It is a felt internal experience of, I am feeling what I'm feeling, and I'm resisting it. I don't like it. I don't like where I am. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm feeling. I am scared. I am lost. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I'm in my coping mechanism. I'm in a behavior that I'm used to berating myself for. I want to do something that I've been told for my whole life I am not supposed to do. I don't want to do a whole bunch of things that I've been told I am supposed to do. All of this narrative that we all have. We're all human. The person who is loving themselves, who is practicing the self-love path, says, this is where I am, and I'm not gonna hate myself that this is where I am. That's it. I accept myself, me as a human being. I accept that I am feeling this way. I accept that I am responding this way. I accept that I am thinking this way. I accept that I am acting this way. And that I feel how I feel about all of those things. And I'm not going to blame or shame or guilt myself for it. I'm going to approach myself as though there is a good reason. I may not understand what it is. I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't know why I feel what I feel. I don't like it. Like I said, it's totally okay. However many layers we need to go through in the giving ourselves permission hierarchy before we can get to, I'm just not going to blame myself for what I am in right now. I am not going to make whatever I'm in worse by making it my fault. By telling myself I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm shameful, I'm guilty, I should not be feeling this way, I should not be acting this way, I should not be doing this, I shouldn't be feeling how I'm feeling about how I'm feeling. You see, we have all of these layers of self-rejection within our experience. And that is what stimulates our nervous systems into fight or flight. And we all know that in fight and flight, our expansive awareness brain is shut down. Okay? Our capacity to understand systems is shut down. Our capacity to change is shut down. Our capacity to grow and evolve is shut down. When we are in fight or flight, our bodies think we are under physical attack right now. And our bodies will say, do whatever you've always done when you felt like this in order to survive. There is no capacity or possibility for change or growth or evolution or discovering something new or doing anything that would actually be different than what you've always done when we're in a state of fight or flight. And because of the way our nervous systems are wired as human beings, when we feel rejected, when we feel love go away, when we feel that it's not okay for us to be who and what we are, that was the first survival trauma most of us experienced in our childhoods. Because when we were children, when we were babies from 0 to 7, and especially 0 to 7 and then even beyond that, we have to, again, always return to this. This is why I say all trauma is rooted in childhood trauma. When we were babies, we had pain or pleasure. We weren't programmed yet. Belief systems didn't exist. This is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. We didn't have that. Morality had nothing to do with anything. We were living in reality. Pain and pleasure. Pain being something is antagonistic to my growth. Pleasure being something is good for my growth. That's it. Only we didn't have the cognitive capacity to understand our pain and our pleasure. We didn't have the capacity to explain our pain and our pleasure. We did not have the capacity to meet our own pain and pleasure, to respond to it, because this is the thing. I'm sorry, all the spiritual people, but pain is not an illusion. Because if it were, how do we explain babies? They haven't been conditioned yet. They haven't been told that this or that exists, or this or that is right, and this and that is wrong. If you cut a baby, the baby's going to cry because there's pain, because pain is real. If a baby is hungry, they're going to cry because there's pain. Pain alerting them too. If I don't get food, I'm going to die. When they soil themselves, they cry because sitting in your own waste is eventually going to be bad for the system. And you see, the baby has no concept of that. No intellectual understanding, again, doesn't have the mental capacity to have been conditioned that you have to eat. And that this is why. Or that eventually, if you sit in your own waste for long enough, it will make you sick. They don't know that. They could not possibly understand that. And yet, they have the awareness to cry because there's pain. They're uncomfortable. Pain is not an illusion. Pain is a call for change. If even babies know, react, they have not been conditioned. It's not an illusion. It's real. All pain is like this. And we can understand this physically, right? We can all understand the hand on the burner metaphor. None of us think it's an illusion that if you put your hand in a fire and it gets burnt, that that's an illusion, or that the pain of that is an illusion. Of course we can override it. Of course we can dissociate. Of course we can do all of these things. But that's a survival mechanism when we are not going to respond to our own pain, when we are not going to rescue ourselves. This is something we learned in childhood. If we're not going to be rescued, if we're not going to be saved, if our caregivers are not going to understand us and our pain, we're either going to continue to cry out and have our pain expressions get louder and louder and louder and louder. So that's the barometer of the household. That's the oversensitive child. That's the child that then starts to have problematic behavior, temper tantrums, they're violent, they develop ADD and ADHD and all of these behavioral problems because there's something wrong with the kid. They go that direction. Or we learn to numb ourselves. We learn, right? The baby that cries it out and then stops crying, that baby did not learn to self-soothe. The pain didn't go away. They just learned no one was coming. Nothing was going to happen. So that's when the numbing kicks in, right? Because we all know right before you die, people have experiences where the pain just goes away. Your body anesthetizes you. And that's not a freedom. That's not a spiritual experience. That's a biochemical reaction of your body saying, I guess we're just done. It doesn't matter how much we tell you there's pain, you're not going to do anything about it, so we may as well just turn it off. That's not a good thing. That's not a spiritual thing. That's the ultimate bypass. You're biologically bypassing pain, which is there to alert you to change something. Okay? So this is the bottom line. In our childhoods, we did not have control over our pain and our pleasure. We learned that caregivers had control over our pain and our pleasure. We learned codependency in our codependent relationship with our caregivers. And I say this in every video because we have to get this. So much of what we are calling spirituality, so much of our trauma, so much of codependency. If we can understand what happened to us as children, we will stop being so confused as to why we are the way we are and why we perceive reality the way we perceive reality. Because again, in our infancy, in our childhood, we were fully and completely dependent upon our caregivers to fix our pain and to help us have pleasure. And if they didn't understand us, and they couldn't meet our need, we were trapped then. If we had a need that they didn't know how to meet, we were trapped. If we had a need that they shamed and blamed and guilted, we were trapped. You see what I'm saying? We did not have autonomy to say, well, okay, mom and dad aren't going to feed me. It's okay, I can go get food. Right? Think of the hunger experience from a baby's perspective. I don't understand what's going on. I don't have any cognitive capacity to know that I'm hungry, to know that this pain in my belly means that I'm hungry, means that I need to get food. I know where the food is. I can go get it. I can go put it in my mouth. I can eat it, and then I will feel better. The baby doesn't know any of that. All the baby knows is pain. I can't communicate. I have no way of communicating other than crying. I can't explain, this one's hunger, mom. And even if I could, I don't have the capacity to go get food. I don't even understand the concept of food. All I know is pain. And when mommy is rejecting me, when mommy's not here, she withdraws. She's my source of everything, right? Your concept as a little baby is this thing is continually either causing me pain or taking my pain away or leaving me in pain. We have no concept of any self-efficiency. We have no autonomy. We have pain that's 100% controlled by someone outside of us. We have pleasure that's 100% controlled by someone outside of us. Imagine that experience. You had that experience. And then we grow up learning. We don't ever, usually, most of us, don't evolve past this. We don't evolve past what I need comes from the outside world. My pain gets remedied by someone outside of me understanding me and then meeting my need. If I am a certain way and others don't like it and I get rejected, in childhood, that would have meant death. So we automatically all learned how to look for what is wrong with me when I'm in pain. Look for what is wrong with me when I'm being rejected. Look for what is wrong with me when I'm reacting in a way that doesn't encourage my caregivers to meet my needs. Because that's the one thing we had control over. As children, we didn't have control over our pain. We didn't have control over our pleasure. We didn't have control over our circumstances. We only had control over our own behavior. And this is how we all learned to manipulate ourselves or manipulate others when we are feeling pain, or how to numb out when we are feeling pain. We never learned to go inside, figure out what our own pain is, what the need is, how to meet the need, and then meeting that need for ourselves. That is an adult perspective. That's the self-love perspective. I am no longer a child who's being controlled by everyone around me. I am no longer a child that needs to be understood by everyone around me in order to have my needs met. Right? We start to understand that so many of us are still living from this place of, I don't understand myself. I'm in pain, and my two reactions to that are to cry out and hope that someone else will understand and rescue me and tell me the answer, or to numb out because no one's coming. No one cares. No one's going to rescue me. We learned that in childhood. So we are all operating under the default that when I'm in pain, there's something wrong with me, or there's something wrong with the world. There's something wrong with them. We blame and shame, right? Mom and dad didn't meet my needs. And so we learn to blame and shame them. It's their fault that I don't feel good. And then as we grow up, we take that out. It's just anytime we feel shitty, there's someone to blame. It's never our fault. We look for whose fault is it. because it couldn't be my fault from the child perspective. I didn't know. I don't know. I don't have control over this. This isn't my job. This is your job. You are the thing that's supposed to take all my pain away. And when you don't, you are the thing that's supposed to understand me. Right? So we have all these relationships where we don't explain ourselves. We have all these unspoken expectations. We have all this projection onto others, and we get so hurt and so upset when our needs aren't met, but we don't know how to explain our needs. We don't know how to ask for them, and we don't feel like we should have to, or we don't even know. It's just like we're operating under this assumption that you should know. And if you don't love me. You don't care about me. You don't understand me. And so we have that side of it. Or we have the codependent side of anytime I feel pain, how did my caregivers respond to that? Did they ignore me? Did they freak out with me? Did they make it that I was causing them pain from my pain? What's wrong with me that I'm in this pain? What am I doing wrong? There's something wrong with me, because a lot of us learn from our caregivers, right? We're doing the best we can. If your pain means that I'm doing something wrong, I don't want to look at that. I would rather believe there's something wrong with you. If you're sick, if you're acting out, if you're crying out in pain, if you're always emotionally disturbed, you're anxious, you're depressed as a child, caregivers don't go, whoa, what are you reacting to? What are you responding to? In what ways are you being hurt by the way we're living? They think, oh, what's wrong with my kid? What's wrong with you that you're like this? We're fine. The world is fine. School is fine. This is fine. It's you that's broken. You shouldn't be like this. And we learn that. We internalize that. So then as we grow up, we become spiritual self-help junkies, where we go and we think, okay, what's wrong with me that I have anxiety? What's wrong with me that I have depression? What's wrong with me that I have an addiction? What's wrong with me that I have a coping mechanism? What's wrong with me? Nothing. Nothing's wrong with you. You are reacting and responding to a world that is antagonistic to your growth. You're reacting and responding to belief systems that you were raised to believe are reality, that are not reality. And then we have this, again, this complete disconnection from real self and real reality. We live in consensus reality, where the opinions and the thought patterns of humans are seen as truth. So again, what your caregiver said, this is how life is, that's where you learned that. Right? You learned that if something feels shitty to me, but it's the way life is, there's something wrong with me that I can't handle it. If mom and dad didn't say, okay, little one, you're in pain, what do we need to change? Because, like, again, I'm going to tell a personal story. When I was growing up, I had a lot of health problems. And I still struggle with a lot of the things that were never taken care of in me as a child. And then we babysat a little girl for a while. And she was having a lot of the same health problems that I had. She was much younger than me. And so she was having, like, eczema, like really bad skin outbreaks, like really, really gross bowel movements. Like, she was clearly in a state. And her parents took her to the doctor, and the doctor gave them a bag full of creams and medicines and anti-inflammatories and all these things. And her mom describes this and said she looked at that bag and was like, no, we're not doing that. And they started to change her diet, change her lifestyle. So they cut out dairy, they cut out wheat, they cut out grains, and her mom was like all about packing snacks for her and like doing all this stuff. And lo and behold, her skin cleared up and her bowels got better and she got better. So rather than looking at her and saying, what's wrong with you that you are this way? Yeah? She said, you are responding. You are sensitive to these foods. And we are going to change our way of being to meet your needs. That's reality. Do you see? That's a one-to-one reality check. The body is doing this for a reason. We will change things until the body comes back into balance. So her symptoms clearing up was reality saying you did the right thing. They didn't need an opinion from a doctor or a specialist or whatever of, is this the right diet for her? When her body started to thrive again, they knew from one-to-one relationship with reality that what they were doing was working. Do you see? That's a one-to-one relationship with reality. When we are all on the internet and looking up what's the best diet, and whose opinion is this, and what's opinion is that, and this expert, and that expert, and they say this, and they say that, and they are having this experience, and they are having that experience, and blah, blah, blah. That's not reality. That's the matrix. What's the right way to be a spiritual person? What's the right way to... That's the matrix. Because we are disconnected from the one thing that connects us to actual reality, which is our feelings. Because the thing that everyone is shaming themselves for, and this is why I say, loops us back to this is the foundation for self-love, is we are all telling ourselves we shouldn't feel how we feel. I'm doing everything right. If I feel bad, there's something wrong with my feelings. That is the foundational, fundamental misunderstanding that humanity is going to kill itself if we don't get. We're not doing it right if it feels like shit. That's it. That's the self-love path. If it feels like shit, it's not right. As in, right being, it is not creating evolution. It is not creating expansion. It is breaking myself against the system of reality. Reality changes for no one. People ask me this all the time. Well, what is reality? Like, how can we know that we're living in reality? Isn't it just subjective? Everyone has their own reality. And it's like, no, they don't. We can convince ourselves of a whole bunch of things. We are very, very good storytellers. And again, that's what makes being human so cool, is that we can tell ourselves stories about things that don't exist yet and learn how to create them. The fact that our minds can come up with ideas that are not rooted in current reality is why we can invent stuff. So we don't want to get rid of that. That's an awesome thing to have. However, this also means that we can tell ourselves stories about things that are painful to justify their rightness, to tell ourselves that there's some good thing about this, that this is how this should be, and there's just something wrong with me that I'm responding this way, instead of being connected to reality, which says anything that hurts is out of alignment with reality. That's it. Either there's a perceptual misalignment, there's an actual physical alignment, and these things are not disconnected. A perceptual misalignment, if you believe something that's out of alignment with reality, you act based on your beliefs, and therefore you are living out of alignment with reality. You are breaking yourself against reality. There's no such thing as a belief or a perception that doesn't lead to action, that doesn't lead to how you are living your life in some way. So again, the spiritual journey is never going to look like you just have a perceptual shift and then you're free. No, that perceptual shift should always lead to changes in how you live your life, because your perception dictates how you're living your life. It's never just one or the other. You never have clear perception and are just doing something wrong. That's never how that works. Your actions are rooted in your perception. And therefore, you cannot have an incorrect perception and be living completely correctly. That's not possible. Every time there's pain, that is a call for change. It means the way you're understanding things is incorrect, which is then leading to out of alignment with truth actions. And again, reality is non-judgmental. Reality is not amoral. It is amoral. There is no morality. It does not care. Okay, again, reality. If a baby puts their hand in a fire, a totally innocent, lovely baby who does not have the capacity to understand what they are doing. They don't even have the cognitive ability to know that I am going to destroy my hand if I put it in the fire. Does reality then look at that baby and say, oh, that baby doesn't know? That baby is innocent. That baby isn't doing anything wrong. I'm not going to let the fire burn the baby. Of course not. Right? That's not how reality works. The baby will get burned. Because reality has no judgment. Real reality. So is there the complicating factor of humans punishing other humans for things that are in alignment with reality, and humans rewarding other humans for things that are out of alignment with reality? Absolutely. Right? We applaud and celebrate and worship things that are absolutely abhorrent in reality as a human race because of our storytelling mind. We reject and deny and criticize and fear and hate things that are completely in alignment with reality. People who are in alignment with reality. Right? All throughout history, the great thinkers who understood things and found things out about reality and said, this is how it actually works, and that contradicts what you think, they were thrown in jail. Didn't change reality. When Galileo discovered that the sun was central and the earth was moving around it, is that when that happened? No. Was it that the earth was in the middle before the sun was moving around it because that's what we thought? And then when Galileo discovered it, it shifted? No. It had always been the way that it was. It always was. Always, 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 always was. Sun in the center, earth going around it. We were just wrong in our perception. Nothing changed in reality. Our perception changed, our understanding changed, our awareness changed, and we rejected that. So this is what we are going to have to realize. It's a big decoding. It's a big, big deal to figure out what reality is and to align with it and to understand it, because our conditioning is so deeply held in our traumatized childhood nervous systems that we were just babies going along with reality, with pain and pleasure. And when we started to get conditioned, so our needs not getting met, us expressing in ways that got us rejected, us being born into systems that are out of alignment with truth. Okay, and I'm going to make a whole other video on this because it is just like the spiritual gaslighting in the self-help world, in the spiritual world, in the world in general, in the mental health world is over the top. But like being born into a system that we're now all discovering is fundamentally racist. So being a white person, I have unknowingly participated in systems that quantifiably cause harm. That just no question. There is no debate here. Benefit me at the expense of others. That causes me pain. Part of the anxiety I've been feeling my entire life. I'm finally being like, finally, y'all are seeing, you're getting it, that we can't do this. We cannot live this way. I moved away from Canada 10 years ago because I saw that every frickin' system, it was everywhere. It was a hydra. It didn't matter what I did there, in my perception at the time. I was causing harm. And there was only so much that I could reduce it based on how the system is set up. I left so that I could actually physically redistribute wealth with my own hands to farmers here. Like there was just this very deep awareness of like, I cannot keep doing this. And so being a minimalist, being a vegan, doing all these things, it came from in me, from a place of like, I can't not do this. There is no way of participating in these systems where I am not causing others harm. And that is going to hurt me forever. Even if it looks like it's good for me. Even if it looks like I'm benefiting. It hurts. And I didn't know how to explain it, and I didn't know why. But now I do. It's just, we are all connected. We are all one. So yes, the systems that are set right now give certain people in this society more material success, more material wealth, more material goods. They have artillery and like I say, a bigger share of the resources. And that is totally real, and that is totally giving people an advantage, right? They have the more share of education, they have better education, they have better chances of getting the resources, and other people at the expense of other people, and that is true. And we're all depressed. We're all crazy. We're all anxious. We're all on medication. We're all coping. We're seeing these people who are in pedophile rings. They're, and I'm not saying that, I'm not confirming or denying or saying that I believe in this, but we have seen people literally be arrested for pedophilia. Like, it's out in the open. This is not a conspiracy. This has happened in real life, and we have evidence of it, right? And we have people who are crazy alcoholics. And then we have all the spiritual teachers at the same time who preach love and light and preach all these things. And then in their lifestyle, they're abusive, they're sexually abusive, they're all of these things, because it's not how reality works. We're not living in alignment with reality. We're not living from our humanity and our feeling. We're living from intellect, and it's not working. So the practice, like I say, coming back to this, is I understand how my nervous system works. Love and acceptance takes me out of fight or flight and into rest and digest. And it is only in rest and digest that I have a connection to reality. Fight or flight takes us out of our connection to reality. It triggers us into our childhood state where provision came from the outside, acceptance and love was the only way to survive, where being loved and approved of and understood from someone outside of ourselves was how we got our needs met. That's a codependent state. That's a victim state. We were all victims in our childhood. I'm sorry to say it to you, all you spiritual people. That's a victim situation. Absolutely. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice of how your parents think. You don't have a choice of how they act. You don't have a choice of how your household runs. You don't have a choice of how to explain things to them. You don't have a choice of their conditioning. You don't have a choice. And again, you might think that you chose it in some previous life or whatever, fine. But in the actual legitimate to your nervous system experience, you didn't have a choice. You were a victim. You could not change your circumstance. If you were in pain and your caregivers didn't understand and couldn't help you, you were trapped. Period. End of story. You couldn't make it different. You couldn't make it better. That traumatized your nervous system. In that, you learned how to behave in some way or not behave in some way to get your needs met. You started to learn how to blame others or blame yourself for how you were feeling. Because you were being told, this is right. We have it figured out. How the household runs is correct, how school is correct, how the world is correct. And if you are in pain, there's something wrong with you. That's fight or flight. That's gaslighting. That's deep, deep, deep trauma. That's literally, your hand is in a fire. You are screaming out, and your parents come to you and say, what's wrong with you that you're doing that? Why are you screaming? What's wrong with you that you are reacting like this? And for some of us who, because like I believe all children are sensitive, and then most children get just so conditioned that they numb out. We learn how to numb and to stimulate very deeply because we have to. It's the only way to cope with all the misalignments that we're born into, that cause us pain, that we can't do anything about, that we're told are normal. So then there are the few super sensitive ones of us who can't numb, who can't stimulate, who can't turn it off, who that pain just gets louder and louder and louder as we grow up, and then we're the ones who are diagnosed with anxiety, depression, all these mental illnesses. We get physically sick. And it's like, what's wrong with you? Nothing. I'm responding. And just because everyone else was able to numb out, so they don't feel their pain anymore, doesn't mean they're not all in it. This system that we have isn't working for anyone. This system we have is not working for anyone. It is appearing to work for the people at the top because they have material resource. But again, they are not happy, they are not fulfilled, they are not good. And in fact, you can see that. They're miserable. The more pain that you can cause to someone else and condone that and think that that's okay because you think it's good for you, the more you are acting from fight or flight. You are acting from trauma. That's what that is. That's a trauma response. You literally believe that to be true. So that is fight or flight. The entire world is living in fight or flight. We're all trying to biohack our way into flow states and creativity and how do we do this and what's the hack? There's no hack. And like trying to find enlightenment through fasting and vipassanas and like these and plant medicine and blah 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 blah. No. We just need to recognize that when we're in fight or flight, we can't create. We can't see anything beyond what we're in. We're trapped in our perceptions. We're trapped in our trauma. We're repeating the same problems over and over and over again. When we come into rest and digest, that's what a flow state is. That's what the plant medicine does for you. That's whatever. It just takes you into your natural human state of rest and digest, which is open and curious, which is expansive and aware, which is always looking to grow. That's our natural state. That's it. When you're in a state of rest and digest, which is your natural state, your body heals itself. You have a connection to reality. You can say, so this is where the self-love practice works. Whatever you're feeling, this is it. Okay, this is the tool, and I'm going to say it again. Whatever you're feeling is right. You may not be perceiving your reality correctly, and you're probably not. You may not be doing the right thing, even though you think you are. That is all true. But if you are feeling pain, you are right. There's nothing wrong with you. If you're feeling anxiety, you're feeling it for a reason. If you're feeling depressed, you're feeling it for a reason. If there's pain in your body, you're feeling it for a reason. If you don't know what to do about your relationship or your job or whatever, you feel that way for a reason. This is what we return to over and over and over again. This is the practice, the one practice. So again, don't DM me. Because I'm telling you now. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? The first step is this. Make it safe for yourself to be in whatever you're in. So again, this is not accepting depression or accepting that you're in an abusive situation or that you're in a job that you hate or whatever. It's not about that. It's accepting yourself within it. It's okay that I don't like this thing. It's not my fault that I'm stuck in it and I don't know how to get out. Right? You're going to come up with all of these reasons why you need to hate yourself for whatever you're in or whatever you're doing. It's my fault that I have this addiction. It's my fault that I can't get my life together. It's my fault that I caused that fight again. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. No. And as hard as this is, you're going to have all kinds of resistance. That's why I say this is a practice over and over. And the more you practice this, the more you are going to see how much you antagonize yourself all day, every day. How much you blame yourself and shame yourself for everything that you feel and everything that you do and everything that you're experiencing. You blame yourself, you blame someone else, you're in blame and guilt constantly. Because that's how we learn to deal with pain. In our infancy, we learned that the solution to pain is blame someone else until they fix it for me, or blame myself so that I change my behaviors enough so that they will fix it for me. We never learned, no, this pain is a response to something in my reality being out of alignment. They're feeding me a diet that they think is normal. It's not working for my body. I'm sick. It's not something wrong with me. It's something wrong with the food. I'm anxious and depressed. It's not something wrong with me. It's something wrong with the school system. It's something wrong with the social system that I'm in. It's something wrong with the culture that I'm raised in. These are the things that are out of alignment. It's not me. Okay, I'm coping. I'm numbing. I don't know if the glass of wine and Netflix at the end of the night is coming from my authentic truth. This is what I really want to do to unwind, or this is what I need to do to unwind. And if I don't have this, I'm not okay. I can't tell. Make it safe that you're doing it. Just make it completely 100%. I am still worthy of love, no matter what. I'm worthy of love when I'm sad. I'm worthy of love when I'm depressed. I'm worthy of love and self-acceptance when I'm causing all the chaos, all the harm. And this, again, is so hard. When we can see how our behaviors are hurting others, when we can see how we are causing pain and destruction, we want to reject ourselves because we think that's going to be the thing that makes us change. But we're not understanding that that's not how our nervous systems work. When you reject yourself for the pain you're causing other people, you put yourself into fight or flight, and then all you can do is repeat that pattern. You have to make it safe. I love myself even if I'm never going to change, even if I never grow, even if I'm never different. Because what that does is puts your nervous system into rest and digest. It tells your nervous system, I'm going to get my needs met. Because again, to you, love equals security. Because when your parents accepted you, they were going to meet your needs. When your parents rejected you, they were not going to meet your needs. So when we internally reject ourselves, we trigger ourselves into that survival fear, I'm not going to get my needs met, and then we panic, and then that's it. When we love ourselves in whatever we're in, this is the paradox of self-love. If what we're doing is truly harmful, if what we're doing is truly out of alignment, and it stops being a moral judgment, it will just hurt. And when we take the morality out of it, I can be in pain and still love myself. I can be in pain and still get my needs met. I can be in pain and still be acceptable, worthy, and all these things. Then all of a sudden, like I say, we step out of fight or flight, and all of a sudden it's not, should I keep doing this or not, or is this the right or wrong thing, or I don't even know. It just goes, okay, well, it just hurts. I don't want to do it anymore. And when it stops being, because then, this is the other key, When we realize that something is painful because it's out of alignment with reality, and we come from a place of self-love, we don't then make it mean that if I change, that's an admission that I was horrible before. Because all of us have this fear that if we're wrong, if we're doing the wrong thing, we're bad. So this is actually what stops us from ever being able to change. Because a lot of us recognize that what we're doing hurts. We recognize that what we're doing is out of alignment, but we can't change it. We don't know why. Because to you, change means admitting that you were wrong. And to admit that you were wrong is to admit you don't deserve to have your needs met. Is to admit that you're bad and therefore going to die. Literally, that's what that means to us. So when we can make it safe for ourselves to be wrong, internally say, I'm going to love you even if you're so wrong. Even if you never get it. Even if you're out of alignment for the rest of your life and in pain forever. I'm going to love you. We make it safe to change. Because it doesn't mean I was horrible before. It doesn't mean I'm admitting to my flaws that then mean death to my nervous system. It means, okay, I can change. And then I'll just get my needs met. My husband always says to me, he's always astounded by how when I learn something that what I'm doing is out of alignment, that I just change. That I will make like massive life changes in just like an instant as soon as I realize it's not real. And that's because I don't hate myself for having been living out of alignment. I go, oh, that's why it hurt so bad. There was nothing wrong with me. It was the thing I was doing. And I don't blame myself for it. I didn't know. And even if I did know, I was traumatized, all these things, okay. And now it's my responsibility. I know better now, so I can do better. It wasn't my fault. It's my responsibility. I can always see where I was conditioned, where I was traumatized, where I was hurt, and that's why I was living like that. I was trained that this is how life is. That's not my fault. But now that I know better, through my feeling and my connection to reality, no one has to tell me, you should eat different. You shouldn't drink. You shouldn't smoke. No one has to tell me that. It doesn't feel good for me to do that. So this is why I'm saying this one practice of making yourself safe in whatever you're in. Radical self-love. I still love myself even if I never change. Even if I stay this way forever. No matter how deeply I'm in pain, no matter how much I'm suffering, no matter how much I hate whatever I'm in. It's not my fault. I love myself. I accept me. So that's what I'm saying. Self-love doesn't look like anything on the outside. It's an internal, I'm going to be here for me. I'm sorry you're hurting. I see you and I love you. I validate you. What do you need? We start from that. And then we can start to see, okay, what hurts? Why does it hurt? The way everyone else is living doesn't work. And then this liberates us to actually change. Because when we are no longer dependent on the love of others to feel safe, we are no longer dependent on consensus reality. We are no longer having to fit in to feel rest and digest, to feel good. We stop depending on consensus reality alignment. And then we can actually make discernible, real changes to our lives that will probably get us rejected, because this is how humanity is right now. That will probably get us rejected. We will start to be the human beings that we naturally are. We will start to discover our authenticity, what is really real for us and what was conditioning and all this stuff. And we will have the capacity to actually live it, because we can give ourselves the security of our own love, which tells us that we're going to get our needs met. We can start to say, okay, even if the world completely rejects me, I can still figure out some way of getting food. I can still figure out some way of getting shelter. And even if you have to tell yourself these stories, literally, I'm going to be here for you. Even if we get divorced, even if whatever happens, I'm going to be here for you. I literally sometimes tell myself, Even if we can't figure it out and we're gonna die, if if me being my real self means I actually get into a situation where there's nothing I can do to keep myself alive, I will love me as I'm being killed. Like, take away the fear. You can take away the fear of anything by literally promising yourself you will be there for you. Even if I will still love you. And that's where we find the bravery and the strength and the clarity of what's really real. If we can say, I can love myself no matter what, then you will know if the Netflix is really something you need or if it's a conditioning thing. If the wine is something that's good for you right now, or if you need to let it go. If it has nothing to do with anyone else. If you can love yourself, even if, make everything you're doing okay. And I know that sounds so radical, and we all think, well, then I'm going to be a narcissist and I'm going to live in my terrible stuff forever. No, you won't. Because this is how you will develop your one-to-one relationship with reality. If what you're doing is truly harmful, it will hurt to do it. And when there's no more morality, it's not good or bad, right or wrong, you love yourself no matter what, the consequences of your actions are still going to be there. Real reality will always speak. It will have pain. If what you're doing is out of alignment, it will hurt. That's why you will never have to wonder if you're doing it right or not. That's how we get rid of this confusion. When you love yourself no matter what, it's just you and reality now. If it hurts, it's not reality. And then you can start to problem solve. You can look for why. You can look for all of those things, and we'll talk about that more in the next talk. But this is the foundation. Make it safe to be whatever you're in. Whatever you're feeling, make it right. Because what you're feeling is leading you to the truth. And if you keep telling yourself there's something wrong with you, you're never going to find it. Because that is fundamentally the wrong assumption. That's why it feels so shitty to tell yourself you suck. It can feel powerful sometimes because it makes us, if I'm wrong and reality's right, or humanity's right, I know what to do. I just need to get myself there. And that's why we hold on to that. Because when we let go of that, it means, well, if society is wrong, then I don't know what the right answer is. And then we have to follow pain and pleasure and our own compass, and we don't feel capable of that. But that's what this is, that it's growing up. Humanity doesn't have it right if it hurts. If you're not blissed out, if you're not able to just sit in peace, you don't have it figured out. It's not your fault. But if you stop blaming yourself, you'll start to get answers. And then you'll be able to actually act on those answers because you won't be dependent on external validation to feel safe. You will make yourself safe even if you're going to die. And then you'll be able to walk your path. So this is the foundation. Always, when you're confused, make it safe. It's safe that I'm confused. I love myself anyways. When you're scared, when you're lost, when you don't know, when you're hurting, when you have a thing that's coming up that you don't understand, when life is hurting, when your body's hurting, when you're doing things you don't get, when you're coping, salvage, make it safe. Make it safe. Make it safe. Make yourself safe with you. That is the one answer over and over again. And all other answers come from that. It will connect you to pain and pleasure without morality, making it something good or bad about you. I am good no matter what. Now, what hurts and what feels good? That's how you find real reality. So that's self-love 101. Make yourself safe in whatever you are right now. Over and over and over and over again. Just that. I love myself anyways. I can give myself approval anyways. It's going to be hard. It's going to be scary. You're going to practice over and over and over again. But this is how we do this. This is how we connect to real reality. Okay? So I hope that that is clear. This is it. Start with this. Where am I taking love away from myself? Telling myself I can't be this way, I can't do this, I'm wrong for feeling this way. Blaming others. And where can I connect to reality again? Through making it safe, and then just feeling where the actual pain and pleasure is, and dissecting that. Okay? So that's the end. I love you. Thank you for being here. Have a fabulous week, and I'll see you in the next video.